Yo, Z-Pack, it's your boy Z-Dog MD. Check it out. I am live and direct out of Z Studios. I didn't mean to go live today with an incident report because my entire house is being drilled on as we speak because they're replacing the plumbing because we had a series of disastrous leaks. That being said, I had to go live even though it's 1,000 degrees up here and we can't run the AC. And there's no Tom and Logan because we weren't planning a show today because I just heard about this hostage standoff at Del Nor Hospital in Geneva, Illinois, and I had to comment. And for those of you who don't know this story, and first of all, I want to preface this by saying if you work at that hospital and you are working there today, or even if you aren't, or you know someone who was, please talk about it in the comments. We want to spread the word Z-Pack about the heroes over there, all right? So this is what went down according to the news. And again, I'm just getting into the loop myself. Apparently, an inmate, a young inmate, who was recently arrested for stolen possession of a vehicle or something like that, was brought to the emergency department. And it was around noon today, 22-year-old guy from Chicago. And what ended up happening was he, during some period in the hospital, was able to grab the weapon from the deputy who was chaperoning him. Now, those of us who work in the emergency department, and I'm a hospitalist, so I'm down there a lot, we know that when inmates come from prison facilities, they always have police escort chaperones. And it lends a sense of security and comfort. A lot of times they are handcuffed or otherwise restrained for everybody's safety, right? Now, I don't know what happened today because I don't know the details, and I don't think the press does either. And Sarah Latoria says it's where I work. Awesome. Keep it coming, guys. Let us know. We want the details as you know them. And so this is what went down. Oh, and hold on. Dawn Wallen says, thanks, Z-Dog. Hostage is my friend. I've worked there almost 30 years. Thank you, Dawn, and I'm really glad she's safe today. This is what I understand, and we're going to fill in the details with you. Grabbed the pistol, took a nurse, a young nurse, female nurse, hostage. And this led to a standoff that lasted several hours. And in the end, what happened was the K-9 team and the SWAT team apparently stormed in, decided that negotiations were going nowhere, and shot and killed the suspect. And I understand that this nurse is safe. Thank you. Thank you, whatever powers that be, because that was a great example of when shit hits the fan in a way that is absolutely inexcusable and should never, ever, ever, ever happen. And around the country, nurses, and this is the last day of Nurses Week, of all days for this to happen, although there's no good day for this to happen, all around the country, nurses have been raging on this very forum about how they feel unsafe, about how they feel unsupported, especially in the emergency department, when patients can be violent, when family members can be violent, and they're barely held accountable, right? Because administration often doesn't pursue it, and they're not in their right mind, etc. And this is a great example of what can happen when lives are threatened. And we know nurses, doctors, staff have lost their lives in these situations. Right? I've talked about it before. This is what happens when everything fails and we don't support our staff. These are heroes on the front lines of healthcare, helping people who are very vulnerable. Our prison inmate population, let's not lash out instinctively against them, right? This is actually a very vulnerable population, believe it or not. And people who care for inmates will tell you, and I know there are a lot of Z-Packers who do. So in this setting that the inmate was able to grab the deputy or whoever the chaperone's gun was, is a massive breach of protocol and training. Like, that should just not happen. And again, I wasn't there, I don't know the details, but anyone who says that's okay that happened is crazy, right? So the fact that he was able to grab a nurse, okay, first of all shows that how bedside nurses are, particularly in emergency settings. And the fact that she probably remained calm, did the right thing, didn't, go nuts, is why she's alive and safe, and the heroism of the first responders. So what ended up happening, and then I'm going to go and read your comments, okay? What ended up happening was the hospital started to be evacuated. They closed the ER. They started to divert people. Ambulances, EMS showed up for transport. All the first responders, everybody did their job amazingly from everything I can tell. And patients obviously weren't harmed. And they managed this in a way that was almost like an emergency disaster, which it is. But the fact that this nurse is alive and safe now is a testament, number one, to probably her calm and bravery, and number two, the SWAT team and the police response to this hostage crisis, because obviously the amount of risk that you take swarming into the room has to be weighed, and they weighed it, and the risk paid off. but it could easily have gone the other way. So we're just really thankful, Z-Pack, that she's alive and well. Now, I want to talk about the issues around this, particularly violence against first responders, against nurses, and against medical staff in the hospital setting. Let's read some comments because I suspect you guys, a lot of people work there. Could have happened to any of us. Thanks for supporting the EM docs and Annie Casey. Totally, right? Like any of it, we've all seen similar stuff, not to the degree that we're seeing. Okay, did my clinical rotation there, says Amy Ola. Thankful. I know those I know are safe. That's awesome. Now let's see. Let's scroll down and find. I'm going to try to read some more comments here. We just had an incident like that at our hospital ER as well. What the hell is wrong with the society? Annette Thornblade. You know, when we're violent against the people that care for us in hospital settings, you know that the end times are near, right? Forget about everything else that's going on in the news and politics. Like when that starts happening, you know, the destruction of civilization. I mean, there was just an article about how we have some of the worst maternal death rates in the developed world. Now, what does that tell us about what we're doing wrong and right in American healthcare? The fact that insulin prices are skyrocketing in the U.S., right, but not elsewhere. What are we doing, right? We are exceptional in so many ways. We can do better, and we deserve better. Let's see. Here's an interesting one. Susan Kanya, why don't you talk about the dirty little secret of the high costs we pay for the federal inmates' healthcare? Well, I mean, again, because none of this is an efficient system, and there's better ways to deliver care than what we're doing now. So that may be a separate episode entirely. Let's keep scrolling and see if we can find somebody who was there. Let me go right to the end here. It's always tricky to read these comments in real time. And also, Sheena Baker points out, also there was a shooting in a nursing home. A nurse and a CNA died. Okay, guys, I saw that as well. This is crazy, all right? And I was just reading about the nursing home shooter as well. So it's basically becoming the Wild West in the hospital, says Chris Miller. This is not what any of us signed up to do. Like most people in those hospital settings, particularly in the front lines, emergency, EMS, they are very brave people. They are compassionate people. They give of themselves, but they don't expect to give their lives in service, right? And that's why it's heroic what these guys have done. Anyone who knows her knows she is capable of amazing things. A true angel in scrubs, Jennifer Lynn. So Jennifer, I imagine you know her, or other people know her. So this is great. So this nurse clearly has heroic tendencies to begin with. You're correct, Z-Dog, about this nurse being awesome, says Dawn Wallen. In an emergency and talking people down. I'm sure she threw herself into this to save everyone else. Oh my gosh, Dawn. Dawn, we have got to get her out here and talk to her once everything settles down. And, you know, we worry someone like this, and I don't know her name yet, someone like this, and I'm not sure they want it public yet, someone like this can have all kinds of post-traumatic stress, anxiety. I mean, this is someone who needs support and understanding and recognition of the heroism that she showed on the front lines of what is effectively a battlefield at that point. And to hear these descriptions of her, it absolutely fits the outcome that happened here. That she came out safe, that others came out safe, and that the inmate is dead. Let's keep scrolling here. There was an EMT killed in the Bronx a few months ago by a sick bastard who hijacked the ambulance after making a fake call. Catherine Fortunato. Those people just need to die. Like, we need to just, I mean, and again, I'm not a big believer in the death penalty, but they should just be killed at the scene, and then we don't have to go through all the trial, right? Because what you're doing is a special kind of a crime. Like, it's akin to harming a child or someone who is really in a different class, and that's the first responders. These are heroes. And if you try to hurt them maliciously, you should be stopped at all costs, if you know what I mean. If Logan were here, he would talk about all the guns that he owns. I don't own guns, so I can't talk about the guns that I own. Or do I? I don't know. You'll have to come try break into my house and find out. This is why we need a nurse's bill of rights. Abuse from anyone on any level is not part of the job and shouldn't be tolerated, period. Shauna Dawson. Shauna, and I would say that nurse's bill of rights should include a right not to be verbally abused by anyone in the hospital, including other nurses, including doctors, including staff, period. This is not the environment we want to. Look, we should have fun at work. We should be partnering together to take care of each other and patients. That's health 3.0, okay? This is health minus 1.0 at least. This is absolutely terrible. So I don't disagree with the nurse's bill of rights. Jenny McKiernan, I watched a woman in jail with me have 5 seizures. The last time she got a concussion from hitting her head on the concrete, she never even saw the doctor, and meds were never changed. So prison medicine is a struggle. It is a struggle, Jenny, and those who do it are valiant in their own right, but it is very, very hard, and there's lots of challenges. And the shooting in the nursing home, Suzanne Hurt reminds us of that. I wonder if hospitals have drills for this, said Susan Williams. They do. They have drills for active shooters, at least the hospitals that I have been in. A risk management nightmare, says Angela Irwin, to say the least. Could you imagine? And this is my thought is like, you could see all this shit going down, hostage being kept, SWAT team coming in, and the whole time there's some Jaco asshole standing there with a clipboard going, is that an open container at the nurse's station? And you're just thinking, that's another group that needs to just go away. It's like the Joint Commission exists just to exist, just to invent stupid rules that then we have to follow. Now, we need regulation in hospitals, don't get me wrong, and we need patient safety, we need those accountability. So don't haze me just yet. I just have a particular spot in my heart for the Joint Commission. Mostly because, again, they sound like a cannabis dispensary. My hubby is an ER nurse 20 miles west of Delnor and texted me. Initially, I thought he was talking about where he was. Former ER nurse here as well, Michelle Hoker. I mean, it's scary, right? And when you hear of your fellow brothers and sisters in arms on the front lines of healthcare encountering this, your first thought is always, oh, is my friend, is my partner there? And talk about empathy. We've always distinguished between empathy and compassion here on the show. This is true empathy. You can put yourself in their shoes and feel their pain, right? And it is hard, right? And this is a time when empathy helps, because really feeling what they're feeling, it's good for us to understand, because then it puts us on alert. It makes sure we do our drills and we understand how to try to stay vigilant and safe in the hospital. And it sounds like this nurse already knew her ish. You know what I mean? Laura Walker, here's interesting comment. Laura Walker, I took care of federal prisoners for 15 years, never had a bad experience. Thank you for sharing that, Laura, because we need to understand that perspective. Brandy Falcon, so many times administration will not support a nurse when she reports verbal abuse or unwanted physical contact. It's more about keeping them happy than doing the right thing. Bingo. I hear this time and time again, Brandy. There are great administrators, great CEOs, great COOs, great DONs. All these guys can do a great job, but when they don't, we remember it. When they don't support our frontline care providers, we know it. And they should be, their feet should be held to the fire. You know what? Dave Chase, a good friend of mine, he's said that if you're going to develop like a fair trade standard for hospital care and health care, in other words, like telling employers and insurance companies and patients, okay, if you're going to choose between institutions, here are the scores they have. And their scores are not just patient satisfaction, they're caregiver satisfaction. How well does that institution treat and support its frontline clinicians, nurses, doctors, staff, PT, OT, nutrition, pharmacy, lab? How do they treat them? And bake that into the score. Because well-treated, happy, supported staff mean well-treated, happy, supported patients. All the data says so. It's the same data that says that physician leadership or clinician leadership in hospitals has better financial outcomes. Because guess what? We've touched patients. It's just like Vader said, you have never touched a patient in the buttocks. I have. That's what it's about. And again, love and respect to the CEOs and the COOs and everybody who is supporting their staff, because I know I get these messages and they really, sometimes it's weird, but their feelings get hurt because I can be very anti-administration, but it's really anti-bad administration, guys. Good administration we should embrace, we should support, we're part of the same team, we're still taking care of patients, all right? All right, guys, I am, oh, look at this now. Connie, this is the last comment. Connie Miller, I am mentally prepared for even the cute little grandma to go crazy. It has saved me in several situations. Connie, you're absolutely right. You got to be prepared for everybody, especially after hours when you start sundowning. And we just posted a meme about Grandma Queen with a gun, and it's basically like catch me after hours, you know what I'm saying? Because hashtag sundowner. So always be vigilant in the hospital. We should, as a team, support each other, promote safety, promote better self-defense, and have a zero tolerance policy. I mean, this guy had about as zero a tolerance as you can get because he is in a grave right now for effing with a nurse. And that's where, honestly, you threaten a nurse's life, you should just die on the spot. I'm going to say that, and I'm not even a believer in the death penalty, period. Because I don't think the state should be killing people, because that's kind of creepy. All right, guys, on that note, share this. fill me in the details in the comments. I'm going to go back and read them and respond to the ones particularly about this person. If this person doesn't want to be named, please don't name her or edit your comment, okay? Because we don't want to violate her privacy if that's something that's not going to come out. And please, if you know her, support her. Understand she could be going through a lot of PTSD. She's seen some pretty terrible stuff, even above and beyond her regular job in the emergency department, if that's where she works. And much love out to Delnor Hospital and all the staff there for being heroes, and the EMS first responders and the SWAT team and the police. All right, thank you. Let's prevent this kind of ish from happening in the future, and we out.